In Ghana, a digital revolution is taking shape. Meet Kaelen Mettle, a volunteer on a mission. Through Fafali's STEM project, he's empowering young minds with tech skills for the future. This is more than education. It's opportunity. It's breaking barriers, sparking dreams, and unlocking endless possibilities, one keystroke at a time. Stay tuned as we sit down with Kaelen Mettle to hear his story.
Hello everyone, my name is Randy Edemanozado. I'm the volunteer coordinator for Fafali Organization, and I'm seated here with a fine, young, vibrant gentleman. And today we are going to delve deep into why he chose the pathway to volunteer for Fafali Organization. But before that, I'll give him the platform for him to introduce himself and tell us a bit about himself.
Alright, so hello everybody, my name is Kaelen Mettle. I'm 17 years old, and currently I go to the French school in East Legon, École Français, where I learn everything in French. I currently major in mathematics, physics, and chemistry.
Okay, I think that's a beautiful background you have there. But what inspired you to volunteer for Fafali Organization?
For the most part, I decided to volunteer because I saw it online, did a bit of research about what activities you could do here. I saw the option for basic computing, and it piqued my interest, so I decided why not sign up, why not learn a bit about technology, since I want to work in technology in the future, and here we are today.
Beautiful. Okay, so listening to your experience and why you chose to volunteer at Fafali, right? So can you delve deep a bit and tell me what's your role as a volunteer and what are some of the activities you are engaged in?
Well, during my few months here, I was a teacher for the kids that we have at the Fafali Organization about basic computing. So I taught them how the basics of a computer works. So things like the hardware, the software, the different kinds of software, how to use a computer, how to search things up online, for example. And I also taught them the entirety of the Google suite, such as Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Excel, Google Forms, and yeah.
That's beautiful. So if you are telling me this, I just want to close my eyes right now and I want to ask you, like, what's a typical day for a volunteer?
Well, I'd say a typical day for me begins after I come home from school. So, I'll rest, get ready for the volunteering that I have to do today, and I will note down the ideas, what I want to teach for the class that specific day, so that I'm prepared and I'm ready to have a good class with these kids whenever I walk in at 5 o'clock.
So with all this experience meeting these kids and teaching them in the classroom, can you remember some of your most memorable or impactful moments with them?
Definitely my most impactful moments are the ones where the kids are happy, they're enjoying themselves. Clearly I can see that, and I myself am enjoying myself. So it's one of these moments where it almost feels unserious, but we're learning something. So the class is passionate and they're ready for anything, pretty much.
Have you ever faced any challenge whilst volunteering, and how did you overcome them if you did?
I did say that, yeah, I did face one major problem, and no, it wasn't actually coming. It was more just organizing my ideas to become efficient and to, of course, have the best ideas for the class. So most of the time, to overcome this problem, I would just note down a lot of the ideas that I had in mind, and then by order of importance, I would class them down, and then I would arrange them so that they're in the most important ways for this certain topic that day.
So can you give me a little bit of how the kids you volunteer with or the kids in your class, how did they receive you, or how did the community members always welcome you, like in your presence?
Oh, they were very appreciative of my presence. Definitely, I would say that because they showed me respect. They treated me like I was an actual teacher teaching them things. And I think that the fact that I'm also still 17 and there were 12, 13-year-old kids, there's a level of relation between us. So since we're technically all kids under the judicial system, there's still a level of friendship between us. So I can almost treat them like little friends, and they can treat me like an older brother, almost like just knows what he's talking about and teaching them. And I feel like that's the most part, what's important, and it maintained a great relationship between me and these kids in general.
With this, your answer, I can already feel there's love in the air between you and the kids. So I think you have a great bond. So how do you think your efforts are making a difference?
I would definitely say that these kids are definitely learning a lot technology-wise. So teaching them the Google Suite allows them to become very efficient in doing schoolwork, for example, or just any work in general in the professional world, because technology is becoming a main part of today's world. As you can see, everyone is using a phone, everyone's using a computer, a laptop, a desktop, and it plays a huge role in how we organize ourselves, how we work, and with things like AI even bursting onto the scene, it makes it even more interesting to teach these kids about technology so they have a better understanding of how it works and have a better way of managing how this device works as a whole.
So this is beautiful, but this takes me to another question I want to ask. So what have you learned that you didn't expect from volunteering?
I learned one big lesson that I think will take me very far in life. Is the fact that even trying just a little bit will take me a very, very long way. So most of the time, sometimes when I came to class, I didn't feel like I did much, or I felt like I didn't teach these kids what I really wanted to teach them because I didn't have the energy myself. I wasn't feeling myself mentally at the time, or any sort of external circumstance like that. It still taught me that even if I just showed up, did the hour with them, and still tried to teach them a little something, I still found that I still made a positive impact because they'll be using what they learned from last time to to further their approach in the next lesson. Mm-hmm. So things like, for example, Google Docs, learning how to edit text, that kind of thing. They would be using these kinds of things I taught them in other apps, and it just made me realize that even on those days where I didn't feel myself, I didn't feel like I taught them what I really wanted to teach them, it showed me that, yeah, these kids are still learning no matter how hard I try. And either way, they're going to learn because they're good kids, I guess.
I believe so
and
too.
I guess I'm a good teacher as a consequence of that.
Okay, so on a personal level, or from your perspective, why do you think volunteering is important?
For the most part, I believe that volunteering is important because it tends to have a great impact on the lives of other people. So, for example, the way I taught these kids, now they're most likely going to be able to use what I taught them in all kinds of situations, whether it be in their professional life, in their home life, in their school lives, in their education, all kinds. And it just makes their life a lot easier. So if they want to go out in the world and start making money, working for a business or any kind of thing, it just helps them a lot. And as well as that, just the fact that you're volunteering, it shows that you care about these people and that they are in need, and you can make their lives a lot better just through this activity that you're doing.
Personally, I think I can sit and listen to you talk about volunteering all day because you make so much sense, and I love how you note your points on volunteering. But what will you say to someone considering to volunteer with this organization?
Specifically with this organization, I would say volunteer now, as soon as possible. Simply for the fact that the people here are very welcoming, they're very appreciative of your presence since you're helping out these kids that are in need of some kind of education of some kind of knowledge about the current world, and not just how they live currently, so you can change their lives pretty much. And specifically with this organization, I feel like you learn a lot through them, and it just teaches you to appreciate the smaller things in life too. So the little relationships you have with these people, the friendships, and it just adds to your character as a whole. It makes you also a better person to join this organization. I would say that.
Okay, listening to you, I've realized you've gained much experience in volunteering with Fafali Organization. So again, I want to ask you, how can people support or get involved with the work done here?
The primary way is like how I did, volunteering firstly. Secondly, you can either donate things like old clothes or items that you deem valuable to these kids, or just straight up donating money. So for example, someone like my mother, she donated things like food, clothes to these kids, as well as donating some money to the organization itself. And volunteering, like I did, is the primary way I'd say of giving back to these kids, where you're teaching them, you're giving them knowledge, and as we all know, knowledge is one of the greatest things to have in this world.
Wow, that's amazing. So if you have to describe your volunteering experience in one word, what would that be?
Inspiring.
Inspiring.
Simple.
Beautiful. Okay, Kaelen, we've been having like an amazing conversation throughout the interview today, and I've enjoyed you speak on volunteering and experience and all what you've been through with the organization. But is there a message you'd like to share with the community or donors engaged with this cause?
One thing, it's a very simple statement. Keep doing what you do, because what you're doing is you're helping these kids that are in need, and these kids that don't live in favorable conditions. So for example, they may not have a flourishing home that they're in, or they may not have the resources to do everything like eat 3 times a day or keep themselves clean. And what you're doing is you're helping these kids exit these horrible conditions and live way better lives for their future. And so simply just keep doing what you do, keep working at it. And if you keep supplying this organization, I definitely see a sort of uprising and appreciation on these kids in the way that they're going to improve their lives tremendously, and they're most likely going to leave these bad conditions and enter a world where they're ready and are a lot more, let's say, educationally aware, and they're just a lot more socially presentable as well.
Okay, I love that word you said. Keep doing what you do, right?
Yeah.
I love it too because I love to volunteer. Kaelen is volunteering. So I urge you out there, come look for Fafali, volunteer with us. Kaelen, just give them your last words and then we can call it a day.
Sign out to Fafali. Do it. Trust me, you're helping out kids out there. And on top of that, you're just making life better for yourself and everyone around, because now you get to feel good about yourself on top of that as a bonus. Sign out to Fafali. Trust me.
Thank you.